Hello, and welcome to the Empath Podcast, where we discuss various topics about being an empath and spiritual matters. I'm Leigh, and I'm an empath and a healer. So, with me today, as usual, are two wonderful co-hosts. The first one is Jennifer Harris. Hi Jen, how are you today?
Hi, good. I'm Jen, and my specialty is demonology.
And the other one is Mari. Hi Mari, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. And I specialize in psychic attacks and spirituality.
And today we thought it might be helpful for empaths to discuss how empaths are being affected by the tragedy of Hurricane Harvey. Over to you.
Today, we're seeing a lot of things going on in the news. And there's been a lot of talk, family members being affected. I'm sure everybody probably knows someone that has been affected by this hurricane in one way or another. And we as empaths tend to feel this tragedy on a very deep level. So I would like to know, how does this affect each of us as an empath when a tragedy happens like this?
Yes, we're not just talking about Hurricane Harvey here. It's any past and future hurricanes, or indeed any national disasters, because they do affect us.
It affects us a lot more when it actually happens in our country where we live. So you could just feel the impact more.
So as an empath, I know people have felt the impact prior to the happening, because some empaths, yes, they are able to feel the difference as it's coming, and they're not sure where it's happening or what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden this tragedy strikes, and then they're sent in a tailspin, reeling, because they knew it was coming, and so it impacts them twice as hard. What happens is that when an empath feels something serious going to happen, they start getting that anxiety because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going on. They just know that something's there. And then something like this happens, serious tragedy. Let's say, Hurricane Harvey, or in Oregon right now, they have a mega fire. A lot of people are losing their homes right now. We also have a bunch of flooding in India, and a lot of people are losing their homes due to all this going on. And right now, unfortunately, we have multiple things happening at the same time. And so the energy is so dense that a lot of people are saying, I have a lot of anxiety. I just want to cry and I don't know why.
And we have seen those very statements in recent weeks. They're depressed, they are feeling extreme fear, and they can't work out what's going on.
Correct. So how, as an empath, how do we deal with this onslaught of anxiety and depression and, quite frankly, fear of what's happening?
And it is the fear which is basically our enemy, because when we feel fear, it tends to feed into it, and then more people feel it as well.
What would you suggest for someone how to cope when something like this happens in the future, or how to cope even now as this is going on?
Support, emotional and physical, is really important. Most of the fear is, how do you start again with the loss of maybe property, business, life? And if you have some sort of plan or some sort of aid out there, it can make an enormous difference to how you're going to get through this. Because if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, then that's when despair sets in.
So at this time, when people are watching this unfold, what can they do to help themselves feel more grounded with the situation?
I honestly, apart from bark flower remedies, which are not probably going to be accessible in that sort of situation, The difficult part would be trusting that everything's going to turn out all right and that the universe has your back. But that's so esoteric in the moment, it's not going to really help you then and there unless you have a person of very strong convictions or faith. What would you suggest, Mari?
Well, if you're actually in the area that's being affected, make sure that you get somewhere that's safe. And then once you're safe, then you can figure out what to do after that. Because a lot of people were stranded, a lot of people needed rescuing, people got hurt or stranded in transit to shelters. So just going somewhere and knowing where to go helps a lot. And a lot of people depend on those shelters and depend on figuring out where to go so they can feel safe after a while. And in terms of the Bach fly remedies, if you aren't being affected by the area, but you live somewhere else, or you have loved ones or friends or family that are in that area, then you can use the Bach fly remedies to help you cope. You can stay informed by watching it on the news, and this will also help you feel more safe about your area. Because I know a lot of people, especially if there's a storm going around, if they live near the hurricane, they will also get that anxiety and fear that, what if this can happen to me? So that'll just sort of help with the anxiety. I know that we are getting the hurricane right now because we're over here in like lower Alabama, and my husband always, tells me to look at the radar just in case. Not anything's going to happen, but every, where once in a while you have flooding around here. So just informing yourself. So this way you understand what's going on around you will help a lot with that anxiety and fear.
And I think preparation is the key here too. I've seen so many people die because they did not believe that the disaster would reach their particular area.
Well, the other thing is that people are not prepared. Do you have an evacuation plan? You need to understand that just because you're an empath doesn't mean you're immune from a problem like this. You need your plans. You cannot rely solely on your faith to get you through.
In fact, your faith or your feelings will warn you that it's time to get out.
And for me right now, I'm in Oregon. We have a mega fire going on not too far from where I live. We've had to find the reality of what's going to happen next. Yes, this area is absolutely teeming with energy that is horrible at this time. And I'm sure Texas is feeling the same thing as far as the air itself is making you anxious because you feel all of this pain and sorrow that's happening. So how are we going to protect ourselves from feeling this pain and sorrow from everywhere going on and still be able to maintain ourselves as functionable humans?
It's very, very difficult to do that when you're in the middle of it, which is why preparation, planning, leaving yourself time to get away. People knew that the hurricane was coming a few days before it hit, but I don't know how many decided to act beforehand. And I've been told stories by friends who were told, no, it's not going to get this far up here, and then they faced flooding and they were caught in floods. So sometimes it's better to err on the side of caution.
It is. And even though someone is saying, no, you're going to be okay, don't worry about it, if you have that gut feeling, exactly,
right,
go with your gut, because that's there, your intuition is there to save your life. And that, that gut feeling that you're listening to, that little aching feeling in the back of your mind, that can be the difference between I'm safe versus I'm not in the best situation and now it's life-threatening. So.
And if you leave early enough, then you can take what's important with you. And if you're wrong, if things change, at least you did what you needed to keep family safe and yourself.
Because there are a lot of people that did stay because their area wasn't going to be affected, but because the storm was so intense and there was such a heavy amount of rainfall, you had like feet of rain in a matter of like several hours. Nobody can predict that. So if people had gotten stuck, making sure that they were able to communicate and so they could get rescued, that would be something to do. Or just figure out how to be safe
Yeah,
So
they
what
can't.
are we going to do? What are we going to do today to keep our sanity? My suggestions: meditation, prayer, understanding what's going on, and understanding that, yes, you can help, but being a victim yourself is not going to help the actual victims.
That's right. In fact, it'll make things worse. This is the time when you can define who you are and be the support and the strength that others will look to and need.
Okay, speaking of support and strength, how do you find support here? Are you, we have a great group on Facebook that we have a whole bunch of people. We have over 17,000 members, and everyone is there to support you when you are having a problem. So you ask questions or you ask for support, and we see flooding of people coming to support you. And having something like that is going to help you get through this hurdle. It really is. But you're going to have to learn your meditation, learn what your body is telling you, do what you feel you need to do to get through certain things so you can move forward and help yourself and others during this time.
So, how would you suggest people do meditation for such events?
What I would do is find a really good guided meditation on YouTube or something. Put your headphones in and just let it listen to it. Because right now, if you are anxious or can't function as far as your mind goes with all of this going on, a guided meditation is very helpful because you don't have to think about it, you just listen. My favorite YouTuber for guided meditations actually is Stephenson.
I will put a link in the description for his channel.
I love his chakra balancing, pretty much every one of his guided meditations I just absolutely love. The other thing is the Bach flower remedies. Get you some Bach flower remedies, put it in your kit, and say, okay, this is my emergency kit. Because if you don't take care of you, you cannot take care of other people.
Yes. It's very much like if you're in an airplane and the oxygen masks fall down, you need to put it on yourself first before you put it on anyone else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because if you are not able to breathe, you cannot help someone else breathe. So, and that goes also to people, empaths especially. They're going to be feeling like, I need to help. I need to help these people because that's on my heart. Unfortunately, a lot of these empaths, they are, quote, bleeding hearts. And no disrespect for that, saying that. I am sorry if I offended anybody. But we do have bleeding hearts in a lot of ways, and we want to give. The problem is that we're going to be seeing a lot of places and people, GoFundMe accounts, and people setting up organizations to help the victims of flooding and fires and stuff. The thing is we're going to want to give and give and give, but are we sure we're giving to the right places to actually help people versus scammers?
And there are a lot of unscrupulous people out there who will scam you for donations, and it will never go to where it's needed to.
So Mari has a friend that actually has advice for us about how to find these places and what to look for. And she will add a link to the description so that you guys can actually have a legit place to get your research done and be able to donate to help these victims. So Mari, when we are donating, where can we go to find legit places that are actually going to help people rebuild their lives?
So usually you want to search for a reputable organization that's trusted. So that'd be like the Red Cross, for example. They'll do a lot of things. And then also those advertisements on TV, they're like, donate here to help Harvey victims. Those are where the money will go to help them. So those are for sure things that you can do. Things that the news say, donate here. So things to watch out for, especially on social media, are people that are passing around GoFundMe accounts and things that just don't really look all that great. So you need to do your research and figure out where you send your money. And of course, send the money if you have the means to send the money.
Mari also linked this article or this webpage called Counterfear. And this can apply to any disaster. This one's specifically saying 10 ways to help in the Hurricane Harvey disaster. And just to go quickly, do not send stuff. Donations clog up the works and make it very difficult logistically wise. Do send money only if you are financially able to. Do not even think about going to disaster now. It's already dangerous and causes more complexities. It can't really help because they got it on hand. If they need help, they will ask for volunteers.
Correct.
Do not spread misinformation. That's one of the big ones. A lot of fear is generated by fake news or exaggerated news. I remember back in Australia in 1983, they had a disaster which was dubbed Ash Wednesday because it happened on Ash Wednesday. And we had a holiday house in a place called Aries Inlet. And I woke up the next morning, I was heard in the news, Aries Inlet was wiped out. But when I went there, it wasn't wiped out. About 25, 30 houses were destroyed, but it was far from wiped out. So people use dramatic ways to make it worse. So be careful of misinformation. If you hear something on the news, or if you hear somebody tell you something, check it first. Don't just pass it on blindly, because that is doing a lot more harm than you can imagine.
And if you also really want to help with donating blankets or food or whatever, your local food bank or local churches, a lot of them have come together and is making care packages for the Red Cross. You could donate directly to the Red Cross even. So do your homework. If you can only give a few extra blankets you had in your house or some extra clothes to Red Cross, make sure you ask them before you donate. And what they need.
And if you really want to help, you can contact your local community and ask them what you can do, because these people are going to have to be relocated. Like after Katrina in the South where I live, a lot of people were relocated, and a lot of people offered their homes to help these people get back on their feet. So that is something that you can do if you really want to help out and feel the need to do that.
Agreed.
Yeah, if many people did that, it would really lower the burden.
So when tragedy strikes, follow your heart and keep a calm head about you, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to make informed decisions without the fear and anxiety, and release your fear and anxiety into the universe where it belongs.
That's very helpful, but often easier said than done.
Yes, I understand that. And that's why when you go through our channel here on YouTube, you're going to see shielding techniques and different techniques for meditations and stuff like that to help you learn these things.
And then if meditation's a little intimidating for you, it could be something as complex as a guided meditation like Jen had suggested, or it could be as simple as just relaxing for 30 seconds and just paying attention to your heartbeat and how you're breathing, because that'll help you focus and then clear out everything that you have. That's usually what I do. I don't have time for that fancy stuff. I'm a busy woman. I'm a hurry. So I do a minute meditation and I just focus on my breathing and let everything go, and then I'm good to go.
Yeah, and it makes an enormous difference. It makes such a difference.
Yes, it does.
And I'm going to correct myself. It is Jason Stephenson. That's Jason Stephenson. And check out his channel because it is very helpful for all walks of life, really.
Yep. When I have time, I love guided meditations. It's very relaxing.
Yeah, but in a emergency situation, Mari's advice is really useful. It could make the difference between life and death.
Agreed.
But basically, remember, if you're an empath, you're going to feel all the anxiety, all the trauma, all the fear that's out there. And the bigger the disaster and the more things that are affected, the more you might feel like you're being overwhelmed and maybe even dying emotionally.
Correct. So you need to take care of yourself, do your steps so that you can learn how to overcome this stuff and move forward, not just for the good of you, but for the good of everyone around you.
And remember, every positive thought that you can send their way, rather than sending fears that people are not going to be safe, imagine them being safe. Imagine that they are going to get out of this intact. All that thinking does make a difference.
And let's all join together at the end of this podcast to send everyone that is affected by these natural disasters some positive energy and some healing for them and their families.
And I know many have already done this, and for those who have, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and thanks Mari, thanks Jen, and thanks to anyone who has listened.
And everyone stay safe and have a wonderful day.
Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, here are some others you might find interesting. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear about them. Leave a comment and maybe even a like.